Hi everyone, welcome back. I hope you are enjoying the amazing talks here today at TMLS Learning in Finance Summit. Before I introduce our next speaker, I would like to take this time to remind everyone to update your profile with your job title or company. This makes it easier to connect with other people who are attending the summit and help you get the most out of this online experience. With that said, I'd like to introduce our next speaker, Nassim Tayari. Nassim Tayari is the head of personal and commercial banking at BorealisAI. She works as part of the business engagement and strategy team, where she is responsible for identifying exciting machine learning research opportunities in order to create outsized value in the personal and commercial banking sector. Nassim will be talking about how to craft, communicate, and deliver on impactful ML product strategies. Please give a warm welcome in chat to Nassim Tayari.
Awesome. Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining this TML session. It's a great pleasure for me to be here and share some of my experiences in crafting, developing, and delivering ML product strategy. Before I begin, here is my disclaimer that contents and thoughts on these slides are my own and do not represent that of my current employer, BorealisAI, Royal Bank of Canada, or any of my previous employers. So a little bit about myself. I'm business engagement lead with BorealisAI, a world-class AI research center created by RBC, Canada's largest financial institution. Here at BorealisAI, teams of machine learning experts, product managers, and business engagement professionals are bringing AI and machine learning into life in the financial industry and even beyond that, including risk, customer service, investing, and financial advice. In my current role, I'm responsible to identify exciting machine learning research opportunities that will create outsized value for RBC. In partnership with personal and commercial banking, I'm responsible to develop strategic business plans to apply AI and machine learning technologies to real-world problems and collaborate with product teams to align business and technical stakeholders. The focus of this talk is on ML product strategy and sharing frameworks and tips on developing an actionable and impactful product strategy. In this presentation, I want to address certain important questions, including what a strategy and specifically ML product strategy is, why an ML product strategy matters, and how to build one. So as you all have been experiencing, like I've seen, and that's maybe why you're attending this event, is that during the recent years, most companies are being forced to innovate. And many are particularly excited about machine learning applications. This requires organizations to transition from opportunistic and tactical AI and ML decision-making to a more strategic orientation. However, this means that you may all have seen many companies find themselves struggling to advance their ML initiatives. So before moving to ML product strategy, I want all of us to review some definitions together. So I want to reference to a great book by Marty Kagan on a product strategy overview, which applies to all products, and it can be also applied into machine learning products. So let's start with vision. Product vision is all about the dream. It describes the future that we are trying to create, and it's mainly a persuasive piece that will be in a form of a storyboard. It's going to tell us why we are taking on this opportunity or why we are working on this specific problem. This piece is not supposed to change. When it gets to strategy, we are focusing on the how we realize the vision. And basically, it should help us to articulate the steps from where we are to where we want to be. So naturally, it should and will evolve during the time, but it shouldn't change too often. And then tactics are around the how. They are basically the game plan. What are we doing the next week, the next month? What are the products or services that we are going to release in a short period of time? Which means that they will change all the time. So our product strategy, which is meant to bridge the vision into tactics, is a sequence of products or releases that we plan to deliver on the path to realizing the product vision. Actionable and impactful strategy should provide direction without limiting options. So here, like I refer to strategy as your compass, and a broken compass is worse than none. It Like your compass is supposed to guide you and your teams towards the outcome that actually matter, and it should be specific enough to give you direction and clarity, but not limiting or being necessarily specifically persuasive. So what really makes having the right product strategy to be as important? But before going into that, I wanted to ask this question from all of you. And this is a question or the topic that is being widely asked and discussed among ML practitioners. What type of ML projects or ML products you and your team are working on? Are you building a long list of exciting features? If that's the case, basically you're in your feature land and wonder what is the value. If you are working on a couple of inspiring but unfortunately intangible vision, then you're in a vision land, as I want to call it. And although all of us should contribute a vision statement, but we all need to know why and how. Or do some of you, and maybe a quite few of you actually, feel sometimes clueless and you're not sure why you're working on a specific problem, why you are building a specific feature or product. I think this might come up from a top-down culture that you are being told what to do or what to build in a very least likely but unfortunate unfortunate case. And also there might be a case that you're experiencing a mix of these cases. This basically kind of implies that there is no strategy, and specifically there is no machine learning product strategy in place. So machine learning product strategy should help you to get out of the feature land, but by getting out of the details and outline what are the important pieces and how those important pieces are going to get together. If you're on visual land, it can help you and your company, your team, to work to make it more tangible and give you more clarity on what you're working and why you're working on it, in case you have no clear idea. So it really matters to have one. It can create a cohesive narrative about the company and its focus area, and it gives direction to stakeholders, teams, and partners, internal and external, to move towards common goals. Specifically in multidisciplinary environment, when you're building an ML product, working with different teams like product managers, developers, machine learning engineers, machine learning researchers, and even in big organizations in a multi-stakeholder environment, it will help you to contextualize the work that you're doing and help all of the teams to see the piece of functionality that is being developed into the product and help you to tie it into the bigger picture. Equally important, it will help align the teams to focus on common goals and march towards them. A strong one enables stronger and more efficient decision-making process. It will allow the different teams who are working on the product to make decisions and trade-offs when it's required. So you can think about it as a check-in tool for decision-making, specifically at a time of ambiguity, to see if the decisions are aligned with your strategy or not. So I want to move towards talking about developing an impactful ML product strategy and the principles, basically, of building one. At a very high level, they can be categorized into business fit, technology and infrastructure fit, and people and culture fit. And I want to dig deeper into these three pillars in the next few minutes. It is critical to align with business strategies and focus on the key business problems. Of course, the vision is there and it's meant to inspire the organization with cool machine learning products that can be built. But the organization ultimately is there to come up with the solutions that deliver on the business strategy. For example, if this strategy involves a change in monetization strategy, then the product strategy needs to be aligned with this. It is important to start with the research element to know as much as possible about the business strategy. And this can be super complicated, as there are many, many different teams at the decision-making level in different businesses, specifically in big organizations are involved. I would like to re-emphasize on this piece, on the piece of research element, that insights are coming out of the research and the importance of discovery phase, which can be the foundation of building the strategic pillars. If we could focus in on critical business problems and generate insights on how to attach those problems, this will help us to define coordinated actions for our product teams. Another important principle of ML product strategy that we need to consider is around technology and infrastructure fit. So in a data-driven world, both data strategy and machine learning strategy are bound to play critical roles in ensuring our ML products can deliver competitive value to the businesses. When it gets to ML product strategy, it needs to be fully aligned with organizations' data strategy. Right data strategies in place can help us to ensure if our machine learning model gets into production and if it can be scaled successfully. So they all together can help us to decide which problems to solve, which problems to avoid, and what problems to postpone to a later date when the right pipeline and infrastructure is at place. While aligning with data strategy, it is also important to identify the role of machine learning in our product. And I want to expand a little bit here about this space. Specifically, we need to know what type of ML products are we building and what is the role of our ML or AI or ML product. So if we are building a black box machine learning model where customers or our clients determine how best to utilize the intelligence on offer, something like, let's say, Google search speech to text or like Amazon transcribe, our product most likely will have a limited scope, and its application might be limited for certain cases where it has been trained. So this means that the product may not be able to handle edge cases. So basically, you will be having a big challenge in terms of scaling your solution. If you're building an end-to-end solution with machine learning models at the core, it means that machine learning is at the heart of your offering and your product can't function without it. But you've packaged it into a broader solution with the intention of solving a specific need. Let's think about self-driving cars. Of course, this model will avoid the pitfalls of a black box model, and it has opportunity to grow into the market faster or smoother. But it still can be limiting. In another form, you might be building end-to-end solutions with machine learning powered features, where machine learning enables a critical feature of your product, but your product has other utilities, had other elements. So it's a suite of products, which some of them are non-ML. You can think about Netflix recommendations in this case. In this scenario, you're offering an incremental value add of machine learning, and there is possible to gradually roll out and have as iterations as possible. When I'm referring to these three different categories, this doesn't mean that one should be over prioritized into another, but it's very important to understand the role and how your ML product will fit into your business model, what your stakeholders are expecting, or how it will address the customer needs for their specific problems. So the universe of problems that can be tackled with machine learning is large. This doesn't, however, mean that all the problems that you may have should be solved with machine learning. And this is why I want to focus on the principles and the importance of people and culture fit. So you need to make sure that you have a fair assessment of the skill set and capacity in your team while you're drafting your strategy. As you are building out your product, you might encounter many a challenge to which the first reaction of your research and development team, specifically if you're having machine learning researchers, is like to use ML. In such moments, it's worth asking if there are any less elegant, possibly less efficient, but more straightforward solutions that can be offered to your stakeholder. Your strategy, while should be comprehensive enough to be able to help making these difficult decisions, and believe me, they are difficult to make. As part of the strategy, you need to have the right measure in place in terms of taking in and owning optimal number of challenges. And this is uber important. And last but not least, it is crucial to create the right culture for success. Strategies that are being created in silos or in vacuum really rarely succeed. So it's very important to communicate your strategy across the organization and at different levels. There's like, I cannot come up with a list. It is a non-exhaustive list, but you need to communicate a strategy to make sure that you're all aligned at your peer level. You need to start communicating with your peers, direct cross-functional peers, and more importantly, provide a collaborative environment and a platform for all of them to be able to provide feedback. As for the next step, you need to communicate to your senior management team, as well as stakeholders and sponsors. And when it gets to working in a large organization, this should be extended to senior leadership team. And it's time to wrap up. And here are my final words. I want to reiterate on the importance of strategy and how your ML product strategy can help you as your compass. It needs to be focused on the most critical opportunities. Secondly, your ML product strategy should align with business strategy and organizational data and infrastructure strategy. And last but not least, to build the right machine learning product culture for success, you need to communicate your strategy across organization and at different levels. With that being said, I want to thank you all for joining this session, and I'm looking forward to your questions.
Thank you so much for the insightful talk on delivering impactful ML product strategy and the principles of ML product strategies. We'll open up the session for Q&A. So if you have any questions, just add Q in the chat and I will ask them. So first question would be, from your experience when creating and communicating ML product strategies, is there a difference in communicating to stakeholders in situations such as you mentioned feature land or top-down land? Is there like a big difference, or are they kind of the same?
Yeah. That's a great question. So basically, when working, so my experience may come from working in a big organization, and might be biased towards that. And these are all my personal experiences, just another disclaimer here. But when you're working in a big organization with different teams, you may come up in working within many different scenarios. You may be in working with certain partners when their business strategy is not known to them. So basically, they are working on a long list of features and they want you to start working and building products for them. So this may result in that, like your product strategy, as much as you want to align it with the business strategy, but kind of forcing you to work on the list of features that may not be packaged as a suite of products.
I see.
When it gets to top-down land, which might be cases for certain in certain teams or certain organizations, is that there is not that much of a right way of communicating what is possible and what is not possible. And that's why it's very important in order to avoid that, is that to be able to become a strategic partner to the business line, to be able to help them to craft a strategy together. Mm-hmm. One, as I mentioned, like when building strategy, ML product strategy, which machine learning can be a part of it, is very important to sit together with the business teams to be able to craft one all together. They shouldn't look into the teams of, like, let's say, machine learning product teams or machine learning engineering teams as executive wing, delivery team, but more like an executive partner that could help them to build and grow together.
Mm-hmm. I see. So our next question is, how do you identify risk as they relate to the product strategy?
Okay. So the risk, like we are talking about, when we are thinking about risk, we are thinking about different risks. Like mostly, I would start with the value risk. specifically. Are we building the right thing? Are we focusing on the problems that they really create outsized value for the business partner? Is it just the very first thought that comes into the mind of our stakeholder, or is it something that has been prioritized? So the value risk. What other risk is around the feasibility? And I'm talking about the feasibility risk, technical feasibility risk, and engineering feasibility risk. So while drafting the strategy, not only focusing on alignment, but also when it gets to the data and technology, I want to make sure that our partners are ready and the data is ready in place as well. So do we have systems in place that would be able to integrate and absorb what is going to be built as part of the strategy that we are framing for our product? Are we going to work on a long-term project or building a suite of different products that the adoption rate might not be that high? And then when on the last, or one of the other aspects is around the AI and ethics. So that is one of the risks, is that to what extent the organization is ready to face that specifically, and is ready to come up with guidelines and guardrails in order to help us. And the last, that might not be the case in the what we are experiencing is the adoption risk. So to what extent it is going to, which may be as a result of the value risk, but it might be a different case as we didn't do that much of enough research in the very beginning to understand the market needs and the competitive market.
Mm-hmm. I see. I guess the next question is somewhat related then, which is more specific about Borealis AI and how they interface with RBC business users to determine where to develop strategy, ML products or ML product strategies.
So then again, so these are personal experiences, but of course, we have different teams that they are working with different line of businesses. So we extensively work with personal commercial banking, capital market, as well as group risk management. So and also with different teams among those. So the experience is not necessarily consistent. So it's very difficult to come up with one formula for you, but what we want to do is that we want to avoid top-down as much as possible. We want to be able to provide leadership thought. We want them to perceive us as a strategic partner who can sit with them and could help them. This also requires an open mind from our end to kind of be able to contextualize the work in a way and kind of segment the work into the pieces that some of them are machine learning problems and some of them are not machine learning problems. So we start by building the trust in terms of educating them what is possible and what is not possible. And then if we see that there is a place for the culture build, and if there is a place for us to help them grow and also them helping us to learn more about the business needs, that's where we want to invest in and basically draft that this product strategy culture. It would be very difficult to force certain teams to come work with us, and that's not really our priority. There should be always a partner readiness element that we need to consider before involving with partners. Another aspect is that there are awesome partners actually that they do understand the value. They do understand what ML can provide, but they don't have the infrastructure ready, or in certain cases they don't have the data that would support. So those are the cases that we want to avoid.
Mm-hmm. So then in your opinion, what is the biggest challenge right now for larger financial institutions in adopting ML that startups could help with or a strategic partner could help with?
Awesome, that's a great question. And I may not be the best person to answer that, but I think if I were in their shoes, I would try to understand the business as much as possible, to dig deeper into the business. I understand that when we're working far from the business and not getting access to the data and processes, this might seem like a big challenge. But what I can say is that as the business evolves, as they are moving more from a people and process oriented to a more data driven and technology oriented domain, it is important to help them to understand the value. One of the biggest challenges that at least in like what I've seen is that there are so many vendors that they come up with a very well defined or like kind of boxed solutions that cannot help the businesses to understand what is the value there. So how they can help. Specifically, what business expects or focus on are the scalability and flexibility of the solution, and more importantly, the modularity of the solution that is being put in front of them. I guess these are the biggest challenges when it gets to machine learning products in terms of to what extent they are flexible, to what if they are, as part of the talk I mentioned that like if they are a black box solution that will only address one type of the problem, or is it a solution which is modular, which can be scaled, because it really makes sense for the business to work like and adopt one and invest on something that could easily or relatively easily to be taken away from one application to another application.
I see. I think that should be all for the questions. Yep, I don't see any more. On behalf of the TMLS team and everyone here in the session, I'd like to thank you for this amazing and insightful talk. I hope you have a great day, and I hope everyone here has a great day. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.